Welcome back to the Pursuit of Accuracy. I'm Josh, and today we're here to talk about the brand new to the market OLIGHT OSIGHT red dot and what you need to know about this before you buy it. So we're going to get into the down and dirty on this red dot right out of the gate. And first I want to say that I have no real relationship with OLIGHT. They hit me up. They sent me this to T&E, kind of review it. I get to keep the dot. But outside of that, I have had no prior experience or dealings with OLIGHT. Now I'm also going to tell you that I am your everyday mediocre pistol shooter. I'm not John Wick. I'm not the humble marksman. I'm not the honest outlaw, but I do own quite a few red dots, and I shoot with red dots quite often, especially now that I'm getting back into pistol shooting, and this really piqued my interest for several reasons. So the meat of this is that it has a forward light sensing technology. Basically, that's going to auto adjust the brightness of the dot based on the light available where you're pointing this towards. So you point this towards the dark area, then the dot isn't going to be as bright. But if I were to point it into my studio light, then it's going to get brighter. And that is a feature that for a lot of us, especially putting them on range toys and competition pistols, we can really appreciate because you don't have to mess with the brightness. It's going to do it for you. Now this also has shake awake. I think they call it like some motion sensor thing, but we all know it as shake awake. Basically, if you set the pistol down, it's going to turn the dot off and save some of the battery life. And speaking of battery, that's probably one significant change on this. This has 77,000 hours. I assume that's on the lowest level, but 77,000 hours on an internal battery you don't have to replace. Well, that begs the question, how the heck do you charge it? Because there's no charging port on this. It does have a battery indicator light on it. It's going to tell you the state of the battery on the dot. But to charge it, you're going to need the included magnetic mailbox dust cover, whatever you want to call this. We all know OLIGHT's kind of the king of magnetic charging. But this piece here is actually charged via USB-C. And it also, when you push the button, will tell you the level of its charge. But you simply slide that on the red dot and it charges it for you. So if you're using an open holster design for a range blaster, then you can simply slap this on while it's in the holster. Now obviously if you're using something like the Safariland I have here from RDR Gear, then that's going to basically completely cover that up and you won't be able to use it while it's in a more traditional full coverage holster like this. But this is really handy. The one problem I do see is that you're tied. This has to go with this. There's no way to really charge this that I'm aware of outside of using the supplied charging cover. So that may be a negative view, but I think for 99.999% of us that are putting these on range toys, competition pistols, and just fun blasters, this has absolutely not been a hindrance to me. And I've actually kind of enjoyed the ease of just being able to slap this on, hang it on the wall, and forget about it. Now, before we get into shooting, and there's a ton of shooting, I shot 1,000 rounds through this pistol with this dot on it just to make sure this thing was going to survive. I want to tell you what you're going to get. We're not doing an unboxing, but you are going to get a really nice clean bit of packaging. It was fairly impressive. You're going to get a lens cloth. You're going to get the base. Now this is a Picatinny base adapter, so you screw the red dot onto this and then it goes on a standard Picatinny rail for you 22 pistol shooter guys mostly. You're going to get the adjustment tool, no different than you would with anybody else. But something that is a little bit different is you're going to get an assortment of screws for all the most popular kind of screw sizes that you need, and they come in this hard case. They're individually separated and they're stuck in this nice little bit of foam. I thought for the price point this was a really nice touch, and I wish more red dots would come with screws like this. Since we're talking about the screws and I'm holding up a SIG, that is the one issue that I had with this, and I really can't totally blame the dot. But first, let's get into some shooting. I'm going to bring you along as we do the 1,000 round test on this. Then we're going to come back here. I'm going to talk to you specifically about the screw situation with SIGs and give you my final thoughts and whether or not you should buy this. Oh, and I nearly forgot. Let's remember that this has a fairly large competition style window, nice glass, crisp dot. This is the red dot. Also comes in green, but we got 77,000 hours, forward facing light sensing, shake awake, and RMR footprint. And this bad boy is only going to cost you $200. So let's go shoot it. So we have come out to the range today, and as you can see, this is clear. This is my 226x5 Legion, but we are looking at the OLIGHT OSIGHT red dot. Now there's a couple of features that made me even want to review this, and that was it had the auto brightness feature, and that's forward facing, so where you're looking is where it determines how bright the dot is, and so far that has worked really well. It has shake awake, has an internal lithium battery, it has a rechargeable cover slash dust cover that goes on the top. A lot of things going for it, and at a price point of around 200 bucks. It's kind of making me question why I own a 507 comp. Now this is about the size as a 507 comp. The glass seems really good, the dot seems crisp, and so far I really can't figure out how they're selling it for 200 bucks, but if it holds up, and we're gonna shoot about 1,000 rounds through this, then this is going to be my new dot. Of course, rocking the new to me RDR gear, Safariland holster. So today is a big practice day. I've been shooting a lot of rimfire. I need to figure out how to grip the gun again and control the gun because 22 has spoiled me. I need to figure out this holster a little bit. I do have the nub mod on the way, but I need to be able to work this kind of either way. So we're gonna shoot some steel. And yeah, we've already sighted us in. I've already put about 300 or 400 through it, but let's get some shots. So we're about 15 to 20 yards depending on what we shoot, but we're just gonna put some through it, make sure we're still good to go. That center plate always gives me a fit. Yeah, a couple misses, but that's on me. All right, so we took a little break, let this cool down. We're out here at about 40 yards now. I'm gonna turn the camera that way. Gun was getting a little hot, so we let it cool down. We're just gonna check on steel to see if this is still zeroed, if it has held zero, if anything's happened. So far, the dot has run really, really well. Haven't any problems. When we get back to the studio, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about these screws I had to use and the deal with SIG and direct mounts for RMR footprint. It's a nightmare. We'll cover that in studio, but we're gonna we're gonna shoot a steel plate. We're just gonna check our zero, make sure we can still hit the target. Again, at about 40 yards. Oops. I suck again. This may be closer to 35 yards. I don't know. Terrible at this kind of thing. Yeah, I think it held at zero. So obviously the OSIGHT survived, and I'm going to be honest with you and tell you this is probably my most favorite dot. And you know, I've owned SROs, RMRs, and I own plenty of dots. Here we have the Romeo X. That's their new one, not the totally enclosed, but the civilian one, and the RMR footprint. Here we have a Delta Point Pro, a Romeo 1, a Holosun 507 comp. Started running out of room, just grabbed a slide off of this bad boy, and a Burris Fastfire. There's also a Holosun 407, a few other dots laying around here. And like I said, I pretty much own most of the traditional dots that most of us are going to own, but for $200, I just absolutely do not think you can go wrong with this. The price point is crazy to me that you're getting all the things that you're getting, all the features, and kind of pioneering that internal battery. I don't know of another dot that's already doing that, and certainly not with the history that OLIGHT has with kind of their rechargeable stuff. But back to the one hang up with SIG. So on this case, the RMR footprint, which this is, most dots and most slides that are, you know, cut for an RMR or plates are going to use a number 632 screw. That's common. That's what you get here. I'd like to point out you actually get 3 of each of these, so in case you lose one or mess one up. But SIGs, and most commonly some of the newer SIGs, have threaded holes where an RMR footprint is. They line right up. It is an RMR footprint, but you got to be careful because they are not number 632. No, no, no. They couldn't possibly be. They are number 640. So I had to order screws off Amazon for the second time, for the second dot that I've ran on this, the first time for the Romeo X, and now for the OLIGHT OSIGHT. And it's kind of a pain because you got to make it work yourself. And again, that's not a knock against this because everybody else is going to use number 632, and SIG, I have no idea why, but they use number 640. So that's something to be aware of. If you're going to be putting this direct mount on a SIG, you get a very nice assortment of screws, but unless you've had it milled or you have something different than me, and you're luckier than me, then that ain't gonna work, because at least on the 226 X5 Legion, they are number 640. So go figure. But again, guys, I don't think you can go wrong with this. I did mention previously that I have really no affiliation with OLIGHT, and that's true. So Typical of the industry for stuff like this is they will send you the dot to test it, and they know you're going to shoot up a bunch of ammunition during testing, so they offer to reimburse me for the ammunition. I think that's fairly typical across the industry, whether people say it or not. I will tell you this as a testament to how much I like this. I actually hit them back up and I said, hey, instead of sending me reimbursement money for the ammunition, send me another one of these in green and let me try out one of your weapon lights. Like I said, I've never used their stuff, but I am really impressed with this because the glass has no crazy tinting. It is very clear, has a very crisp dot, and it just seems very high quality. And I really still can't believe this is going to sell for 200 bucks. These are absolutely going to fly off the shelf, and for a good reason. Again, obviously I put 1,000, maybe 1,200 rounds through mine now. Time will tell long term, but for 200 bucks, how do you not take a chance on something that's more or less 507 comp size, with really clear glass, with all the features that it's going to come with? That's why I doubled down and got two instead of putting money back in my own pocket. So if you were looking at this going, well, would you buy it? Yeah, I kind of already did, because I could have taken the money for the ammo, but instead I doubled down. I should have the next one hopefully tomorrow, and I'll be putting it on one of these and heading back to the range. And if I see anything different than what I've seen so far, I will update this video and let you guys know. But I appreciate you watching. We'll catch you on the next one.